Hello and welcome to the Cameo Show. I'm your host, Cameo. This episode is actually a last minute change. I had something completely different lined up, so I bumped some things down the line to insert this episode as it feels more timely with some recent things going on in our world. There's a lot of political rhetoric that's starting to pick up, and we're coming upon the season of campaigns and debates, and things can tend to get a little nasty sometimes when this stuff starts to pick up, right? Not for everyone, but in a lot of cases, politics in general makes people feel emotionally heated. And when we disagree, sometimes that can get out of line and people double down. And so, with that, and then of course, this week, the US involvement in some things overseas, this pending doom and gloom cloud of potential World War III and the stock market crash. Like, things are just quite overwhelming in the world around us. And so I changed this episode because if you're feeling overwhelmed, emotional, unsure how to handle upcoming conversations with people that you interact with, whether it be coworkers, family members, about politics, it doesn't matter like what you're talking about. I want to give you a few tools to help you feel confident in navigating those conversations and feel empowered to make some decisions about whether to engage in those conversations to begin with. The first thing I want to mention is that all of this is temporary. And I know that that sounds cliche, and we don't know what temporary means. It could mean a day, a week, 6 months, 4 years, who knows? But I say that because it's something that I remind myself of when I'm in situations that feel difficult, that this too will pass, that I have the power to reevaluate things that are happening in my life, things that I'm engaging in my life every single second of every single day. It's my choice to reevaluate that. And I get to decide what I want to change. So while you remind yourself that this is temporary and you reflect on what it is that you want to do during this moment, I encourage you to let life swirl around you. Stay focused on the fact that it will change and that you too can change as well. Just a simple reminder to yourself, this is temporary, can sometimes be what you need to take a deep breath and move on to the next thing. Not from a dismissive standpoint, but more from a feeling of direction that you get to decide. The second thing I want to remind you of as you engage with others about whatever it is, but politics comes to mind just because, again, like I said, a lot of people get emotionally charged about that. And it's very difficult to have a productive conversation sometimes. In my experience, it feels like conversations about politics often leads to nowhere but frustration. That doesn't mean that I don't care or have an opinion. It just means that I choose very intentionally who I share that opinion with. People that I agree with, people that I don't agree with, it doesn't matter. So I say all of that because I want you to remember that you are not in control of how others act, but you are in control of how you respond. I'll say that again. You are not in control of how others act, but you are in control of how you respond. That applies to everything, not just a political conversation. That applies to literally everything in your life. Everyone is on their own journey, and it's not your job to always bring everyone along with you or to force someone to come along into your journey, nor are you responsible for someone's happiness. You don't have to be right. You don't have to make them believe what you want them to believe. And conversely, when you're triggered by something that they say, you have to own your reaction to them. It's a form of extreme ownership that allows you to feel empowered by your ability to respond and not just react in those moments when things can feel out of control. I don't want to say it gives you control because that feels elusive to me. Getting control of something is not necessarily always the goal, but it does help bring you back to yourself, where you might feel less charged by the other person if you accept the fact that you don't control what they do, what they say, how they behave, what they think, just how you decide to respond. The last thing that I'll leave you with as you encounter some of this worldly stress is to hold tight to who you are, to your character, to your intentionality. Don't ever feel like you have to compromise who you are to make someone else comfortable. Don't feel like you can't take a step back from something or someone, even temporarily, to preserve yourself. Hold tight to who you are. And if you begin to feel overwhelmed by things that are outside of your control, remind yourself that this is temporary, to what it feels like in this present moment, and then zoom out. And while this present moment may feel really intense in this moment, and it's fine to stay in that present moment and feel those feelings and connect with yourself in that way, if you're able to zoom out, you're also able to see things on a much broader scale that make this temporary moment definitely feel more manageable and feel like just a blip on the radar. Now, the intensity level of these different things can obviously vary and be really scary sometimes, and that's okay. I'm not negating or minimizing those feelings. I'm just reminding you that if you can stay with yourself, you can navigate this time, these challenging times, and challenging times, whatever they are to you in your own personal life in the future, with more ease, with more fluidity, and more confidence. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Cameo Show today. For those of you that are new here, I do hope that you'll go back and find some of the episodes that have been published previously. For those of you that are here every week, I very much appreciate that you're here and your support. For more, you can go to my Instagram, follow me, send me a DM, say hello. You can leave a message for the show. You can subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, or you can, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are updates on my website about my upcoming book release, as well as a newsletter you can sign up for so you don't miss a beat. Everyone take good care. Take good care of each other. Thank you for being here. Until next time.